Hey, what's happening?
Welcome to episode 10 of the podcast, What's Wrong With These Kids? We're glad that you've joined me, CJ.
And I'm Logan.
And we're going to be talking about bad weather. So I'm in Florida. If you haven't listened to all our episodes, I live in Florida. Logan's from Florida, of course. We're brothers. And we just recently had a storm come through here. Actually, it didn't come through here, but it was threatening for like a week and a half.
It teased it, and so everybody just went and stocked up. It was propaganda by the grocery store, so everyone bought all the bread and water that they were trying to get rid of.
Yeah, and people were losing their minds, and there's a difference between being prepared and panicking. So for anybody who doesn't live in Florida, not all of us panic. We prepared. My wife and I. We prepared.
New people panic.
Yes.
People that are from there are like, no, we're good.
Yes. So I live 10 minutes from the nearest town, but really 25 minutes from the nearest nice-sized town. And so
like an actual city, maybe.
Yes. So if we lost power, I mean, it's impossible that we could lose power for several days. I didn't think there would be any really damage, but we could lose power. And, I'm not on a sewer, I'm on a well. And so that means no power means no water. So there's a couple things that we had to do to prepare, just to make sure. I bought a couple loaves of bread. I have some 5-gallon buckets I filled up with water. And so we were preparing, but watching everyone lose their minds, it was reminding me of bad weather stories from your growing up, preparing for hurricanes when we were growing up. We've already shared a couple of those stories, but I thought we could.
Yeah, shoot, I have a 5-gallon bucket of water in my HVAC closet outside, just because there was one time they're like, oh, we're gonna have to shut off the water, blah blah, blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's everyone else is like, oh no, what do we get? I was like, I just went into my tub, filled it up, and it's just sitting out there just in case if I go over there and my toilet doesn't work or something.
Yeah.
No, that's easy. Just get a pitcher, pour it in, or just pour it in the tank, and you're good to go. Or if you want to really be, if it gets that bad, you're like, well, now we're gonna do a sponge bath today.
True. I did tell Carrie, we went to Walmart and I was looking to see if they had like a solar shower. Like that you fill the bag with water.
I know you're talking about for camping usually.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, I wonder if we could do that instead of pouring cold water over us by the cupful or whatever.
That would be ideal, but you're going to still need some reserve 5-gallon buckets. Yeah, those 5-gallon buckets that cost like $4.
Yep.
Invest in a few of those.
Yep.
And then especially get ones with the seal on the lids.
Yeah.
You can just leave those somewhere. And then, like once a season, you don't have to dump it. You can reuse it for like watering stuff or really fill up the kiddie pool with them.
Yeah. So Logan, we're talking about bad weather. Do you have any memories of bad storms growing up?
Yeah, well, I lived through Hurricane Ivan in Pensacola.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had like a nighttime curfew for weeks because there were trees down and there was no power lights, and so you couldn't be driving after dark. Which in our school somehow, I think what the story I was told was we had 6 tornadoes go through our high school and rip up all the roofs. So we didn't have school for 30 days, for like an entire month. But Dad and Carol and everybody else in our neighborhood, they all worked at like Navy Hospital or some other hospital, or they were police, or so there's like all the adults were gone, and it was just the children left alone in this like post-apocalyptic kind of like area. Like I remember going down, like they would rotate. There was 2 or 3 of us with generators. Grandpa Tibby came over and set up a generator to the house, which you're not supposed to do. But since everybody they're like, yeah, cut this thing, plug it in so we could have like a fridge just that was powered. They're like, just don't on your washer and dryer because it's going to kill all of your generator.
Yeah.
But you could have lights on. You could have, so it would be like everybody just took their meat and just spread it out amongst the people with
generators.
Power. Yeah. And so it would be like, it was actually pretty cool. Like this is like a Florida thing. Like it was like, oh, a community. Like we had that one street, and it would be like, all right, who's making breakfast tomorrow? Who's gonna make dinner? And like, oh, we have these steaks. All right, so somebody with like a grill, like a charcoal grill or a gas grill, and then we'd all just show up to this one house, and it would be everybody around, and we'd be like grilling meat, like cooking. And it was like we had some of the best food ever because it's like, oh yeah, we got to get rid of all these steaks. So steak night every night. We're like, oh, we got all this food, blah blah. It was actually I enjoyed it because I also love post-apocalyptic movies and stuff.
Hmm.
So that's kind of how it was, and it was like you kind of walk around with flashlights because
Yeah.
there's no power
Yeah.
lights. It also led to me dating the girl 5 houses down the road from me, so that helped out.
Well, there you
that
go.
was that was a nice plus.
So you mentioned that post apocalyptic feeling. I remember one time there was a nasty storm, and I left our house at Northridge, and I was going to Matt's house, and so it's only like a 5 minute drive.
It's like
You know what I
one
mean?
road.
It's one
You go
road.
down. It's what 83rd, and then you go down or one of the roads. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like one
yeah,
turn.
yeah. So it was not that far. I mean, I used to ride my bike there, and so but I remember leaving and getting to Matt's house, and it was just this horrible weather, like scary weather. And I opened the door, and there was nobody at Matt's house.
Oh,
There's
that's eerie.
so our
I would
buddy
have been
Matt,
like, did
he's
I
one of
miss the what is it on the
the
Bible
Rapture.
whenever the
Yeah,
rapture? Did I miss
no,
the rapture?
I was totally thinking that. So
It's
it's
about to
before
close on the grounds.
cell phones, and this is Matt's house, and so he's the second youngest of seven. And at no point was it just their kids in the house; they had friends and everything. So there was
There's at
always
least 25 people in the house at the time.
easily. And so I go in there, and there's nobody there, and I'm walking around, and I'm starting to get kind of freaked out a little bit, like. Did I miss something? Was everyone evacuated? And
You
so
had
I'm trying to
headphones
call.
in, and there's like that. You're like, oh, should I have evacuated?
So I'm trying to call mom, and she was on her way home. This is before cell phone, so
How'd you
she
call mom?
wasn't
Did you
home.
go to Matt's house?
Oh, I was at Matt's house, so I picked up his phone, his
It
house
is
phone.
funny how you could just walk in there though.
Oh yeah,
Let the
oh yeah.
door, or we had the
Door
code.
wasn't.
That's right.
We did have the code as well, but the door was unlocked. So we just went in. But I remember that being pretty scary. And then about 10 minutes later, they all came back. They'd all gone and gotten pizza or something. I don't know, but yeah. So yeah,
That's fun.
yep. I remember.
Speaking of the bad weather, I remember one time. I think it was last year. Um, Up here in DC, I got a notification from was it PMO? Is it personnel management something? Where they basically are the ones if it's a snow day, they'll say federal workers don't have to go to work. This one was where it just said high winds, you don't have to go to work. And I was even talking to my boss, and they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah." So then we're just gonna work from home, and he was like, "Yeah, I hope you have beer there." And I was like, "Oh, well, I have there's food and there's a grocery store across the street from me. I'll just walk over there and get stuff and just hunker down." But I got halfway down, like not even a block, and I'm just getting blown back. Like that's how powerful the wind was. And I was like, should I go back and drive to this grocery store that I can see from my balcony? Because it was that bad. And I got to the corner even, and the wind changed, and I had to grab a girl's arm and grab like a telephone pole because that's how powerful the wind was.
Wow,
And
wow.
I'm like, whoa, okay, I see why they're saying. I was like, oh yeah, like it was pushing. Like you see shopping carts flying everywhere, like everything's going up. I was like, whoa, this is pretty windy. Like I was like, maybe I should have like pulled up the weather app and seen how fast the wind was going. But I got in there and I'm like, all right, maybe I'll just hang out here for a minute and then just yeah, it was the first time I've ever. I mean, because it's like it would be like if you're walking trying to cross the street when there's a hurricane going on, but there
Right.
was no rain or anything. It was just random wind blowing this way, then it'll come this way. I have no idea what the situation was, but it was enough where federal employees and government employees
Got the
could
day
just
off.
stay. Yeah, they're like, please don't go on the road. We have enough people on the roads right now. Like, just stay home if you can work from home. And
Yeah.
that's what it's convenient for me that I can work from home, especially like with different things where I'm like, oh yeah, that's nice.
So I remember you were sharing that. I remember another time when it was raining really bad in Florida, and one of the things that we have in Florida are horrible drivers who don't
Oh, the
understand how
hazard.
cars work. And so we were driving back from Grandma Nancy's funeral. So we're at Tampa, coming back. I had just got my new car, the Mazda 3. I just got in an accident with it an hour and a half earlier because some dude, anyways, it's a long story,
I remember,
hit
yeah,
me.
the white car.
Oh my goodness. So Stephanie and I are driving back and it starts pouring down rain. I mean, thick as sheets. I can't see anything. And I'm on the interstate, but I'm probably going like 55, maybe 50, like not
Below the
going
speed
very
limit.
below the speed limit because I can't see. Well,
No, I've been there. You can only see the tail lights in front of you and hope that they know where the lines are.
so I don't see the tail lights, but all of a sudden I see these hazards, and it's
Yeah.
this dude who had parked on the right lane, on the far right lane, and just parked there and like couldn't move. So I'm
Well,
not going. Go ahead.
no, 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 no. See, that's why you're not supposed to drive with your hazards on,
Yes.
because if you see hazards, that means that they're stopped. That's why up here, I will sit there and I have a dash cam, and if I pull that up, it's just me yelling at if I see a Florida attack and they're driving with their hazards on, I'm like, it's not even raining that hard. I
Yeah.
can see you, and I'm like, that's why it's illegal. You'll get a ticket because if you get used to following people with hazards on, then when you just
Yeah.
pulled up, you assume he's still going, and then you smash in the back of him.
Oh,
That's
I didn't
why,
smash into the back of him. I didn't smash
yeah,
into the back of him. I whipped the wheel to the left and start
which is also
hydro.
dangerous.
So I start hydroplaning across the interstate, 3 lanes, just spinning around in circles. And I remember like halfway through the second circle, I go off the road and Stephanie wakes up. Because you guys were the worst co-pilots ever. You guys are the worst co-pilots ever. So she wakes up halfway through the second spin and is screaming, and her legs are all up in the air, and we're just constantly just,
Did she have her legs up on the dash when she went to sleep?
probably, probably.
Girls, don't do that. When the airbag hits, yeah, your knees are gonna go through your eyeballs, and
And I
you're
guess
gonna be
unless you do
folded in
yoga.
half.
Unless you do yoga, I guess you'd be safe then.
Yeah,
But
hopefully you're flexible.
we're sliding through the grass at this point, heading straight for the guardrail, and thankfully the car slowed down before I hit the guardrail. And I'm looking at her, we're both breathing heavy, like, oh my goodness, we just died, almost died there. And I remember we got off the interstate, went to Wendy's, and waited for the rain to pass. But after that, she was a great co-pilot. She'd come in, she'd had her
She was
magazines
awake then,
ready,
right?
she had her coffee. I'm awake, and oh my goodness, that was pretty scary. I
Now,
still
CJ,
hate driving alone.
you and I took drivers ed together, and they did
Yes,
go over scenarios like so. Hopefully, you knew how to don't hit your brakes, just control your wheel to
crack her up. I
keep
mean,
the front in front of the back, kind of thing.
no, I
But
locked that wheel. I locked those brakes up, whipped that wheel, man. It was
see, maybe you should have messed up a couple of cars if you were practicing drifting, and then you would have
maybe. Let's see.
learn what not to do.
Yeah. So I remember that. Do you remember the hurricane when we still lived in Northridge and they canceled school for 3 days and there was no
Uh,
bad weather?
no.
You don't remember
What
this?
what what grade were we in, or what
I was
school?
probably I was probably a senior, so you must have been a junior, or, yeah, or a sophomore.
Uh, no, I don't remember. Maybe, but it was probably because the very next year I was in Pensacola, and so it probably overshadowed like an
You did
actual.
you did get deported. This is
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
yeah, I did get deported.
No, but I remember there's one year where I mean, I don't remember hurricanes growing up that often. Like, I don't remember them happening. I don't remember us preparing for them. I don't remember them
There
coming
was
up near
Hurricane
us.
Andrew in like '96, and then that was the only thing I remember. And then they all started hitting us more. And then also I was in the Gulf, so we would get more tropical storms and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
no, it was pretty much Andrew in '96. Didn't really hear much about him until, and then now it's kind of like a go ahead, like it's almost like even on the DHS website when I start my computer, it's like come like June or July, they're like
hmm
start getting things together,
yeah, yeah,
like get a
yeah,
plan, start saving up some water.
yeah.
I don't know
And the
why
reason
people go out and buy all these bottles of like a big case
I
of
don't know.
bottled water, and it's like $58. I'm like, literally get a 5 gallon jug of water or five
Yeah,
gallon bucket, fill it up with water. If you want to, just drop like an iodine tablet in there, and then seal it, and be like, yeah, that was free,
yeah,
or for the most
yeah,
part, depending on
yeah. No, I had a friend post recently with this last storm, and she was saying, she goes, y'all survive on 3 sodas a day, and all of a sudden a storm's coming, and y'all turn into a fish and have to have 40 cases of water.
Water,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Yeah. No, the only storm I remember living through that was bad was Matthew, and that wasn't even really that bad. It was the only one that really came far enough inland that we were affected by it.
What
And
was
you
the
weren't
one that
there.
got close to Mom's in High Springs?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was that one. It was
Because I
Matthew.
think I came from Ivan, and then I went to go visit Mom, and then that's when that hit. I think I happened to be there, and I'm like, are they following me? And then also, there weren't any hurricanes up here until I moved up to DC. And then we had that one that came up this way, and I'm like, guys, I really think I'm a magnet. Like maybe Trump he should recruit me, and I'll just get on a ship and just start sailing to somewhere else. And be like, oh no, don't worry, he'll follow me. Because I
So
think it probably that was my theory with Dorian or whatever. It was going towards Florida. Like, oh, Logan doesn't live here no more. Okay, let me try to get him.
so that Matthew though was a bad storm, and I remember we had just moved into the house in High Springs, and we were it was the wind was blowing, and all of a sudden we hear this loud crash, and it was in the front of the house, but the house didn't shake, but there was this huge oak tree in the front yard,
Get
but
hit by lightning.
it didn't get hit by lightning. The wind blew it over, but it was hollow on the inside. And so when
Uh,
it cracked and it fell over, it was the coolest thing. There was all this bioluminescent algae inside, so it was glowing inside. It was crazy. It was crazy.
are you
But
sure you weren't on medication at this time? Why didn't you get anybody else to look
no,
at this?
no,
Did
no, no,
anybody
no,
else
no.
witness this?
Yes,
And
yes.
then the
Mom
beam of
saw it.
light got me and took me up there right with my butt.
No, yeah, Mom saw it. Sean and Lexi
Okay,
saw it. Yeah, there. So, anyways, but I
I
remember
probably
that.
slept through the whole thing.
I remember we slept with the windows open because the power went out and we had no air conditioning.
That's bad. That's not good. That's
So
gonna get
we
the roof to come on.
So we slept with the windows open, and so the wind was blowing. And I remember hearing the wind howl, and it was crazy. I remember we didn't have any board games unpacked except for Scrabble, and so we're trying to play Scrabble with Lexi, who's in kindergarten, and the only words she knows are CJ, Mom, Dad, Sean, Lexi.
Three-letter words.
Oh my goodness, names. And I'm like, none of these work except Mom and Dad. Like but we had to be a little more flexible because that was the only game we had. And I remember that tree fell, blocked all of our cars in the driveway except for Scott's truck. And so after like the weather was clear, we still couldn't get out because his truck could go off road. Our little
But they
cars weren't.
couldn't pull a tree, probably.
No, and so he left to go get a chainsaw and was gone for hours, hours. And so we're like, he must have been had
Probably
trouble.
forgot what he was doing. He's like, "What was I doing? I was getting lunch, I think."
Oh no, listen, we thought he was gone looking for this chainsaw, and he comes back and he'd gone and gotten his hair cut and gotten lunch, and and we're all there eating peanut butter sandwiches because there's no power. That's all we have left. Oh, Mom was so mad. And so it was so I laughed so hard.
Yeah,
But
I wonder if you listen to this because that reminds me of the time when it was before. What was it? Before maybe it was last July, June, July, before Stephanie went to Germany,
okay.
and he was like, "Hey, can you and Rocky?" Like, I hadn't showered yet, so I was like, "All right, I'm wait." He's like, "Can you help me fix this fence that's been broken for like 6 months or whatever?" And so we went to go pick up, I think food, drinks, ice, which we had to go to two different ice machines because the one that big one on
Yep, right there next to
that
your
one,
house.
I think that one wasn't working, so we had to go to one next to like a mom and pop
So,
like video rental store or something like
yep,
that. And
yep,
get
yep, yep.
did that, and then we were coming back. He's like, and before I left, he's like, what did he say? Oh, can you get a drill bit? Or he needs some bits so we could do the fence. And I was like, oh, hey, is just so I was like, this might sound stupid. This is like me with IT people. I'm like, hey, I don't want to sound condescending, but is your drill charged? And no, it wasn't. So that was good. I brought that up earlier so he could start charging the batteries. And then I was like, do you have drill bits? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we do. But he caught us back. He's like, no, I don't think I do. And I was like, all right, so what size bit do we need? And he's like, oh, and I'm like, he's like, let me call you back. And so we're at this hardware store, and I'm like, okay. So we end up getting a couple different bits. I was actually very impressed with how we figured this out, and got it to where it like drilled through. I was like, okay, well, this one bit. I think it was like a mason bit because I wasn't 100% sure how the fence was. And then we
Hmm.
got like two bits, got in there, and I just took the OAR exam, which is like for the Navy, where it's like, and a lot of it has to do with like pulleys and like leverage and stuff like that. And so I could put like like the wrenches where they're like it's got the hole and like the teeth on one side
Yeah.
where you so it's like a screw that came out and then went like a 45-degree angle up, so you could put the hole through that, and then that gives you leverage like to screw it in.
Yeah.
Got that in there, had it all, fence was working, but then it's like he's like, hey, it's like slightly like low over here. He's like, why? He's like, why is that? And I was like, probably because you asked two of your sons to do it and not hire a contractor like mom told you to.
Uh,
I was like, I was like, hey, I know how to fix this. I was like, all you gotta do is loosen this again and tighten this top part. But I need to shower because, like, I got cousins that are gonna
yeah.
be here in
Yeah.
7 minutes. I need to go shower. I was like, it'll open and close. It just slightly like leaning. I was like, yeah, you could fix it later. Just loosen this and tighten the top part. I'm like, yeah, but it works. And I was like, Dad. It's like, yeah, you didn't pay us to do it. I was like, we just did it. But
You're just
yeah, it's
being good
funny. It's like,
sons.
yeah, I was like, yeah, we got it. Like we just made it up as we went. We're like, how? Like just thinking, like, how should this do? Like blah blah blah. Da, 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 da. And I was like, oh yeah, I was surprised that worked. That's anytime I fix anything, like especially plumbing, and I'm like, oh, hey, it works. It stopped leaking. Cool. I used shoe
Yes.
goop to make a seal for the little suction thing on in the tank.
Yes. Having a house, you learn how to fix a bunch of stuff if you don't have money to pay somebody to fix it. So,
That's
uh,
why, even at my condo, my dad's like, "Can you have someone come fix it?" I was like, "Well, I'm going to practice doing it, and then that way it's practice for when I have a house. And then if it doesn't work, then I'll just call like, yeah. Like I like resealed different things. I'm like, yeah, you just get a caulk gun, like that. Easy. Yeah, it's easier for me to fix the little things and then call my landlord and be like, yeah, I need a new washer and dryer. Then call him over and over again for like little things, and then him
right.
get like
Right.
annoyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I was like, nah, I'd rather practice on like the easy things. And it also comes in handy if you've ever been to a party and then you clog up the toilet and how you fix it real quick before you have to tell anybody. I'm like, yeah, it's good to know how it works. So that way you don't have to
Yes.
explain anything. Like, hey, girl that I had a crush on, and yeah, I totally just
Yes.
stopped at the toilet.
Tore that toilet up. Broke it down.
Like even like if they don't have like a exhaust fan or like air freshener, I know if you just hit that hot water constantly and just keep pouring soap on it, it'll just like evaporate the smell, and that also helps. Yeah,
There
I've
you
done
go.
that, but
There you
just
go.
you got to MacGyver that sometimes.
You don't have the little vial of the little.
Poop free.
Yeah, buddy.
I have it in my bathroom, but I don't carry it around with me.
Listen,
Not in my purse.
when we went to youth camp this year, I brought one with me because I'm thinking I'm just gonna keep this in here in this room because I'm sharing a room with two other dudes.
For everybody.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to think. I can't think of any other stories. I'm sure there's more for bad weather and dealing with bad weather, but I'm having trouble thinking of any of them right now.
Well, for preparation, like I even think about like, well, one, I moved up here from Florida, and it was let's say August, I think, of the year, and we had like a secondary snowmageddon. So it was like so much snow, and I moved up here. The only closed, it was all flip flops. I had like four pairs of flip flops that I would go through. I had dress shoes that I could wear. Those are my closed toed shoes,
Hmm.
and then uh, realized that we had to go to the base and buy myself combat boots for snow boots. And then that was the first year when Dad was like, "Hey, so I shoveled this half of the driveway. I need you the other half." And so I'm like, I had to get like snow pants. I had to get all this stuff just to go do it. And that's when you realize, like, you think it's like it's powdery snow, but after like 10 minutes of doing that, like you realize like this is a big workout. This is a lot of like when it's like probably 2.5, 3 feet high or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're just like shoveling over. And I remember even shoveling it. And I started to figure out wait till the snowplow goes over because I've had the snowplow push shit back into the driveway
Yeah,
after I
yeah.
just pushed it out there. I'm like, ah. Go do that. It was different things. Like I remember even like using an ice chipper on the or scraper on the windows and stuff. That was a whole huge change. That's why Dad. I remember him complaining constantly, and he could not wait to get back to Florida. He's like, I never had to deal with this.
That's right. That's right. Oh man, yeah. I was thinking about you mentioned snow. I remember I was leaving a conference one time. Me and a buddy, both of us grew up in Florida. We were there, and it was starting to snow, and it was starting to like snow real good. And he looked at me and he's like, "What happens if it snows real bad and we get on the road? Like, is it gonna? Are we gonna be able to get home? Like, we should probably leave now before it gets worse." And I'm like, you know what? That makes sense. So
Yeah.
we get in the car, we're driving. I'm in the
Or look at
PT.
the weather and see if it's going to stop and wait. I don't know
Well,
if you have a time period, but
the guy I was with was a warrior. He definitely was a warrior. So, which is evident by what happened. We get in the car and I'm driving home, and the snow is bad enough that my back end is just sliding back and forth while I'm trying to drive and just trying. And I can't see the lines on the road, can't see any of these things. But luckily, there's no other cars out there. And he's like, "Should I drive? Should I drive?" I'm thinking, "Have you ever driven in the snow?" No, I haven't. Shut up and sit there. Like we will be. And eventually, we got through it. We got on the interstate, and all the snow had gotten whatever, and we were fine.
part of the reason why when I got my new car, I got a Super WRX with all-wheel drive, and it's
There
built
you
to
go.
do that. Because I was showing mom with like the like where it has like the little image with all the wheels,
Hmm.
and when I was buying the car, it was sunny, and then halfway through signing paperwork, everybody's looking out the window, and it starts coming down with snow, and I was like, what? But yeah, it'll like beep 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 like where it's like showing where it's slipping and it changes it. And I'm like, okay, this is why I got this car because I'm not used to. If you have a front wheel drive, that's good. I wanted to get a Mustang, and Dad was like, "You could barely get traction with your last Mustang in Florida. What do you think it's gonna be like if there's like any ice on the road?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, I'll just spin around a bunch." And
Yeah.
it's they're gonna have thin walls and just. But yeah, even in my car, think about bad weather with snow and stuff. In the back, I was like, well, I have like a kit of things like survival stuff. I'm like, oh, I got like blankets. I got was it a sleeping bag? I got the warming packs from MREs just in case because I can use
Hmm.
those. I don't have to
Hmm.
have my thing. Got like little solar thing that I can put on my roof that'll do SOS constantly. And then different tools. Actually, I did also get fire extinguisher and crowbar just because people break down and their cars on fire all the time on the road. And I was like, I should probably just spend $40 and get this stuff just in case. But that's just because I sometimes go down a rabbit hole of YouTube videos of, of these.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Oh
But
man.
yeah, weather. I mean, for the most part, and you think about Florida. I don't think I used an umbrella until I came up here, and most of it is just to block snow because I'm wearing like a suit or something. But like in Florida, it's like everyone's wearing board shorts and flip flops, and you're like, well, it's going to stop raining in 20 seconds, so we can
Yeah.
just wait,
Yeah.
uh, just run through it. But here it's like, who knows? Like we've had a couple times where it didn't stop raining for like a day and a half or something.
Mm. Yeah. Not here. Not here. It ends pretty quick.
Yeah,
Well, hey,
it's tropical weather. It's monsoon weather. Just it's like remember being on the beach and you look this way and it's sunny and you look and it's just dark and then it's like just put your phone in the Ziploc bag and just like hang
yep.
on for a second. Boom,
Yep.
done. And then go back in the water.
Or just stay in the water. That's what I did. Well, hey, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us for this episode. We want to remind you guys to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/wwwtk. Go on the Facebook, leave us some comments, share your bad weather stories, or just post whatever. Post a picture of bad weather or your hurricane supplies if you've got
Yeah,
hurricane
hurricane
supplies.
supplies would be good. I would actually I would really like to see that because that's always cool to see everybody's like, go bags or like what your plan is. All that stuff's really cool to me.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking hurricane supplies more like the top three we had: EL fudge cookies, can of Cheese Whiz, and a case of Cherry Coke. Yeah, those are must haves.
In my the waterproof bag I got to bring on the boat right now, I have Cheese Whiz in a bag and peanut butter just in case. Because I mean, that's just an easy little squirt. Uh-oh.
Oh, I
Someone's
know.
not happy.
Nope. I think Asher got into the Cheese Whiz. I gotta go. I'll see you guys next time.